And then comes, how do you tell people about it? And that is the hardest part, ever, ever, ever.
Yeah.
It's what business people call marketing. How do you tell people about it? And that is the hardest part, ever, ever, ever.
Yeah.
It's what business people call marketing. There's lots of data, but you have to get it and you have to think about it. You have to maybe talk to somebody that knows what it means.
Yes.
Because I don't always know what it means. And you have to get yourself there where the people are and figure out who is interested and who isn't. And it isn't, and then the shipping, and I do shipping all over the USA.
Yeah.
I just was shipping to California, and half of the things the box was broken, So after I talked to her, it was a 45-minute conversation with this woman in California about all the things that went wrong, and I will make it right. But I didn't, I just felt like, oh, this is so sad for you.
Yeah.
But who knows what happens to boxes?
I used to work at a t-shirt shop, and the amount of t-shirts that got sent with like a cut in them, or I just think, a lot of times people are moving so fast, they're working really fast, they don't think about that there's something inside that box.
I know.
And the unfortunate part is people don't think about the middleman, they think about the company that it came from.
I know.
Yep.
I know.
One thing I've noticed about marketing that I know people know this, and I just don't think they think about it right away. Marketing to people in a way that is easiest for them to consume. So we have a lot of people that are, they market on social media or they use their email list and they're just shouting to an empty room. One thing I think that you have done really well is you tailor your message to how your consumers catch it.
And the recipes interest me a lot because if I want to make them, I think somebody else will.
Yes.
And this is Nebraska. And it's not California, it's not New York, it's not Louisiana, and I think about that, and it's something that I have access to. And I don't really, there's so many things, I'd like to do more thinking of Korean food, because I like it. But then I think that's a whole nother pantry.
Yeah.
And just how many people have time. And something else I think that is really important, and I noticed it, last night with the women that came around the shopping, for shopping. Women don't have time. They're not there just to cook. They're not there just to think about food. They're not there just to plan everything. They have to produce something.
Absolutely.
And I think every recipe has to be simple.
Yeah.
And some of it can be made ahead. And I think of that. That's because that's me. That's my audience too. I made my audience. We had this night at the shopping, that women's night out.
Yeah.
And it was almost like an ancient, I thought I was back in hundreds of thousands of years. Women have always done that. They've always gathered with other women. There was not one that came alone.
Wow.
They came with other women, and they just were quietly, happily, cheerfully looking and picking up and putting down, talking about things that were nothing serious. It was just lighthearted. And it just seemed just like a bazaar. Like something in India maybe, or Algeria, or Tunisia. Just like, this is what women did.
Yeah.
And they still do. But I thought it was a very healthy, lighthearted thing.
I really love that that's a thing, and I love how many people got involved. There were so many businesses that were offering things, and it's just a fun time for people to go out and.
It was a beautiful night.
Yes,
and that helps.
Yeah,
but they were having fun. But other than that, going back to the recipes, I consider that a serious part of what I do.
Yeah,
and I take it very seriously, and I always make it myself, probably 3 times. So I get very weary of it after the 3rd time.
Yeah.
But then the whole thing, Adam, that you can understand, it's photographing it. And that's something else that's a huge leap of learning.
Yeah.
But all of this, the intriguing thing, and I think we'll come to that. What do you tell people? You have to love to learn.
Yes. I love that. I think the thing that sets great entrepreneurs from not great entrepreneurs is just their love of learning, their love of leveling up and getting better.
and forgiving yourself, because it's very easy to find all the faults that I can't even, wouldn't they fill this room? And if you're holding those, you're going to be miserable.
Somebody said something to me very recently it was mind blowing, and it shouldn't be. They said, take a look in this room and think about all the brown things you see, and then close your eyes. Tell me what was red. What you're focusing on is always going to be what you see. So just changing that perspective is an easy way to change how your life is. What role do those bees play in the quality of the honey? Is it?
The bees don't play. It's the pollinator plants. It's the plants.
Okay.
And the bees get the honey from the plants. And if you're living, like they have sourwood honey in the southeast, and it isn't very good, I don't think. I don't really care for Hawaiian honey. But it's the plants, and wherever they are, they like their honey.
Yeah.
But Nebraska honey has a high value, unless it goes into sous vide, where it gets mixed with honey from all over the world, from Vietnam, from China, from Argentina, from everywhere. They never check what comes into the U.S. in terms of quality.
Yeah.
And that honey can have corn syrup in it. It can have cane syrup in it. It can have plain sugar syrup in it.
Yeah.
And it's whatever they want to put in. It's just by weight.
Yeah.
So then this wonderful honey that comes from, George, he sends it to sous vide because he's on the board and he's important. He's really important to them, and it's his business.
Yeah.
But even he just says he wishes that they would separate out Nebraska honey.
Yeah, leave our good tasting stuff to be the prime.
And you can always tell when you buy a honey that's less expensive, it's just sweet. It doesn't have that any uniqueness about it.
Yeah, well, and people don't think about, they probably do, but I didn't think about much the health benefits, especially of local.
The enzymes.
Yeah, and
pollen.
I have a kid with bad allergies. That was the first thing the doctor told us is go get some local honey, and every time he's having some allergies, give him a spoonful. So I think it's so much value in that.
There is, and to know that the bees make it.
Yeah.
And these are your bees, or your Nebraska bees.
You mentioned the Lost Way. Would you tell us a little bit of how that story kind of worked?
It started in the very beginning, because when I decided that I needed to do something other than honey, because I would give away honey. I found it hard to sell honey, because the bees make it, people like it. You just, here. And then I thought, what am I doing that for? It didn't entertain me. It was annoying, in fact. So I thought, what could it do? Well, I wanted something savory. And then this person next to me in Holdridge is full of talent,
Sure is.
And she was a critical care nurse in Minneapolis, retired. Well, not retired. Her husband was a surgeon, and they were here for a time. And so she said, I'll help you. And we started looking at mustard recipes. And she could measure and weigh and record, because that's what nurses do, exactly how many ounces or how many milliliters, all this. And so we try. And her husband was German, and he would test them, and we would this and that and this. I bet we tried 50 different ones.
Wow. And
then we got one pretty close, in that it had beer in it. So that for some reason, Lost Way was just starting, and we went to Lost Way and asked Mark what he thought, what beer should be best, and he right away said Old Creamery Stout, and I'll make it for you.
That's amazing.
So it was just a great, and it's been a really fulfilling, delightful example of networking for me.
Well, and then the Lost Way, you guys team up on the Makers Market as well, right? Mm-hmm. So how's that been? Is that...
Yeah, it is. It all works,
That's amazing.
And I think makers like to be around makers. Musicians like to be around musicians.
That's right.
It's just, it's another thing that I thought was rather ancient.
Yeah.
Here we are. People make soap, and they make, there's cookies and bread and my mustard and honey and meat, barbecue. I mean, it was just, everybody was making it with their own hands.
What do you think is the most rewarding part of having a business in this community?
I think it is so easy to get people to do things with you and to take an idea. That's one thing nobody knows in rural. If you have, just like this makers market, you know, Jessica and I have been talking about it, and finally Jessica said, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
So we did it. And then it's fun. And people came.
Yeah.
And they want more of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it took nothing. We didn't do anything.
Yeah.
We just made it happen.
It's amazing.
And the Chamber of Commerce got involved. I mean, people got involved. I wonder if I just can't even imagine of anybody coming here and not being able to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
We'll find you a place. They'll find you some other people that know what they're doing. They'll give you courage. There's grants for money.
Yeah.
Money grants to get you started. Yeah, it is. It's easier here than in a metropolitan area. And people want you to succeed.
That's exactly right.
And they want something new. You know, and you think everything's on the internet and on or someplace else, but it isn't here.
Yeah.
It's here. Yeah.
Yep.
My great-grandfather started this building, and he was a mercantile guy, and he bought, and this was he thought that all of these farmers many of them were Swedish, which he was, and they deserved the best. And he had a milliner. He sold rugs made in Italy and in Tunisia, and he had fur coats. He had socks and shoes, very nice clothes, and it was just filled with people. And he had a person that fixed hair for women. It was just probably a mecca for women to come to and shop. He had men's clothing also, but he knew what they needed, and there were people coming here from the East and from Europe. And they were streaming through Nebraska on their way to different places.
Yeah.
And they needed everything. They had nothing.
Yeah.
And so he had people on, I'm sure he charged lots. And
Sure.
They paid lots. But then that period of time was over.
Yeah.
And these buildings had to be repurposed.
What is one single piece of advice that you would give someone in the business world or just in general? What's a piece of advice you'd like to leave us with?
Just your passion. This is your passion. Love it. Do it. Love it. Do it.